as of last week, we talked about the Stop Killing Games petition, and it was at what, almost 700, 800 signatures?
I think it was
last week?
It was at like 790 something at the time.
Yeah, and the past week it reached the million that it needed to, and this guy Pirate Software, who's got imposter syndrome, he's not taking the news well, apparently.
County trying to say that a rescue is an animal horde. I've been called a pedophile, zoophile, rapist, corporate plant, degenerate, narcissist, nepo.
YouTube, he's using these words. This is not, opinions or words that we are saying here on Geeks and Gamers. This is from Pirate Software here. We're just reacting.
Baby and many other names. And they attacked all the accomplishments over my life, despite physical evidence to prove to the contrary. And they also went after every job I ever held, trying to say that I never worked them, or if I did work them, that I never deserved them. So I'm going to be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted.
The odd thing about all of this is, so when he said, oh, they're review bombing, I'm not endorsing that behavior whatsoever, but it was 26 reviews. Shut up. Like,
Not a lot.
Stop it. So for all we know, he's exaggerating things, and these are just nasty little emails that trolls are sending, which is going to happen when you are as inflammatory as he is. No one would care what he said if he didn't repeatedly say, you will never change my mind. This is stupid. This is terrible. In fact, I will do everything in my power to make sure that it fails. If he didn't say any of that and just gave his opinion and didn't like it, no one would care.
Yep.
No one. So what this will most likely do is the studios now will have to decide, is it worth adjusting all of their code and their business plan, or should they just block sales and access from the EU? That is realistically what will happen. And now a smart studio, and this was what I think it was, so there was a back and forth with Notch, the maker of Minecraft. He actually came back from vacation and he made fun of Pirate Software, saying, oh, why is the Nepo baby doubling down on being stupid? And so he put out a follow-up tweet just confirming that that's who he was talking about. And he said something along the lines of everyone's favorite phrase of, if purchasing isn't owning, then pirating is stealing. So somebody asked, did you sign the initiative? And he said, no, but I'm biased. I think that a studio should solve the problem. This is now paraphrasing, solve the problem on their own without government regulation. So he's going to offer a superior product that can be played offline if he goes the live service route, essentially. So he that's what he envisions, that studios that are smart will already be adapting or have already accounted for this, versus the ones who might just be doing this for a quick buck or whatever is easier to take advantage of at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy's a piece of shit, honestly. And I think anytime you see somebody get called out like this, and you have one of two ways: you double down, or you take a bite of humble pie and say, you know what, all right, I'm glad it worked out for you guys. I still don't agree with it, but I'm gonna move on or whatever. Like the whole thing, like the cope there. Hope you get everything you asked for, but nothing that you want. Like, what the fuck is that supposed to even mean, bro? Like, I just...
It's very contradictory.
Yeah, nobody on this panel will never advocate for somebody to be attacked, have messages sent to their place of employment. That stuff is bitch behavior. Don't fucking call people's bosses and shit because they're acting like an asshole online. Make fun of them. Openly mock them online if you have a problem with them. But like, don't attack their family. Don't message or find their family on Facebook. Don't dox people. All that shit is stupid. But if you say something online and you know that opinion is unpopular, you have to deal with the social backlash of what you're saying. That's just how the internet always works. And a lot of these guys, and especially people, and this is really common with people that work in industries that and are also streamers, like somebody that works in the movie industry, somebody that works in the game industry, or even somebody that's in between. Like you see it a lot. That's why they call them sellouts. People that end up getting access, like journalism or journalists that get access to free games or get access to free movies and red carpet events. They always start attacking the fans, and they go after the fans and they tell them, well, you don't understand, or you don't know what's really going on. And whenever you're arguing in the vein of people getting less and corporations getting more, you're always going to get backlash. It's just how it fucking works, man. So yeah, I think this guy's a fucking asshole, and I think what people did is probably for the most part wrong, but I also think that him coping about the backlash and getting pissed off about it, it's like, guess what? People were doing what they know to do, and once again, This happened. We saw it happen with Twitter. I'm going back to when Joe Rogan had Jack Dorsey on. He told him, if you don't do something about this, the government will. If you make people bad enough, they will go to whatever they think is the right source to go to fix it. And most people know the government is the biggest thing that they know of, and that has the most power that they know of, and they're going to go to that, and they're going to appeal to them. And then once the government steps in, you really don't have much power. There isn't really much you can say or argue against. So, like, if game companies don't want the government to get involved, do right by your fans, do right by the people, and then you don't have to deal with that. So
it's interesting because he comes at a place of some ignorant superiority where he thinks that he's better than you, like you just said. But there is some gray area here because we all agreed last week getting the government involved is not the answer. But these people are so desperate that where are they going to go to? Like Mike said, like, where are you going to go to? All right, well, let's get the government involved. But neither are the answer, okay? And Pirate Software's like, okay, well, let's teach the developer how to handle this. But the developers aren't doing it because there's so much fucking money. There's so much money involved from X, Y, and Z extra third-party people coming in to put the money in there to make the games the way they are in current year. So, but Pirate Software is taking the wrong approach on this, the dickhead approach. What do you think, X-Wing?
I mean, I agree 100%. That I don't see this ending in a good way. You know, like you just said, the bottom line is involving the government in anything is a horrible idea. That's the bottom line. It's never going to be efficient. It's never going to be as good as the private sector. It's always going to have red tape. It's always going to cater to the lowest common denominator. That's how government works. It's BS, and I don't want it in the U.S., and I don't want it in my video game. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a librarian. But
no, and you should actually be. So there is a much bigger cause for concern, too. Like, I understand why they're doing what they're doing. But then it's like when you go and you look at all the initiatives that the EU has actually funded, like they will use video games for climate change propaganda. I wrote about that they've funded a good chunk of it. You know, they also work with initiatives like Game for Change, and so you kind of have to worry about that element of it. But at the same time, they're never going to like deregulate too for like some of the censorship stuff. So it's a double-edged sword. And, you know, Pirate Software, like, it would have been cool if he had just, like, criticized it and said, let's have a discussion. That would have been great.
Right.
He wouldn't be seen as the villain then, because there is a lot that we need to talk about. You know, how do we combat the basic success of a studio? Because regardless of whether or not we think something is good or not, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. The studio's not going to listen to us. They're going to listen to the investors, and they're going to keep doing the things that make them money. So
that's the most important phrase of all time, and I don't think we exercise it enough. And I think a lot of people think we're hypocritical as people who review games or have to buy things that we maybe don't want to buy and stuff like that. But vote with your wallet. 1,000%. That is the only true, real answer to fixing any of this is voting with your wallet. I know sometimes we have to buy stupid crap we don't want to buy. We got to play games we don't want to buy so we can get the word out. But the hope is that in doing that, you guys can see and say, okay, I'm not buying that. That looks like crap. That's why we come online. We talk about this stuff. That's where the passion comes from. Because you need to vote with your wallet. And the only way that these people will listen is if it doesn't make money.